Hey, it's Steve Mannon again for Reality Bites, and tonight we're going to talk a little bit about young women who seem to either have tattoos and or body piercing. And we never really advertised for help. Didn't advertise at all, just had a sign up on the window. And who came in? But lots of young women, college age mostly, and almost all of them had either tattoos visible or unorthodox body piercing, or both.
It's a center lip piercing. It's a 14 gauge piercing, and a 14 is like smallish. Usually the smallest you'll ever see is an 18, and then it goes like all the way up to 1, which is huge. If you have a 1, then like your hole will never close. It's like this big.
I was completely shocked and at the same time relieved because when she called me, she called me from school and she started off the conversation by saying, I've got something to tell you and you're not gonna like it.
She was like immediately freaking out, thinking like, oh, like, I don't know, like she's pregnant, like something horrible happened. And I was like, oh, I pierced my lip.
And so I, of course, being the overprotective mother, thought of every possibility. And so when she told me that she had pierced her lip and had a lip ring, it was tremendous relief.
And my father, I don't know, I mean, my father stared at me for a very long time. But the person who really freaked out was my grandfather, because he was just like, well, you know, he's a dentist, and he's like, it's going to erode your gums, you're never going to be able to chew, everything, like your teeth are going to fall out, but he got used to it.
He kept saying to me, well, why did she do this? Why do you think she did this? And I said, I don't know, I think she thought it was cool. And
I always kind of liked them, but honestly, I got really harshly dumped by someone, and I needed to do something that would make me feel in control of my life, I guess. And so I got a big hole in my body.
I would say that the body piercing, body modification is really the term I use for body piercing or tattooing. It's more of a mask of the problem. There's, the underlying issues are generally depression, anxiety, feelings of isolation or emptiness. Those are generally the underlying issues that surface and present themselves.
Women have different rights now than they did back in the day. So these are the children, first generation children of women with rights. So it's not a way of acting out, it's a way of doing what you want, what you weren't allowed to do before. Which is a huge change in society. It has nothing to do with the women themselves.
I have one tattoo on my foot. It is a Celtic rune, and it means the road ahead. And I've got my nose pierced.
I didn't quite understand how it worked. I think that's part of people's response to piercings, is that you don't ever quite know how it works. It's not obvious. I didn't know how you blew your nose, or if it was bothersome or whatever.
The last people I knew that had their nose pierced lived in smaller, agrarian, hunting-gathering civilizations in the southern continent.
There's a famous psychiatrist, Erik Erikson, who talks about adolescence or late adolescence as a normal state of chaos. So within those limits, then that acting out is within those normal limits. It's a statement, it's kind of feeling a part of the norm. It's a stage generally where when young adults are beginning to leave the nest and they're defining their own separation, that there's a statement, there's a form of rebellion.
In 1977, in fact, during my first year of college, I myself came home with an earring in my left ear.
He was not a cookie cutter kid, He had his own ideas, and they were different than a lot of other kids. He would never fit the mold.
And I remember I came home. It must have been for like my first Christmas holiday during college. My mother took one look at this thing in my ear, and she tried to go upside my head with a high-heeled shoe.
We took one look at it and said, no. My wife picked up the shoe and was going to whack him on the head with it.
It's like, whoa, you know, I'm just like, what are you out of your mind? You're gonna hit me with a high-heeled shoe?
I said, well, listen, Steve, you know, don't defend yourself. Your mother has the right to whack you on the head if she wants to. She's your mother.
And I'm just like, Dad, what are you kidding me? And just when I put my hands down, boom, right upside my head with a high-heeled shoe.
And that was the end of that earring for a while.
For someone who feels a total void within themselves and an emptiness, it makes them feel alive. They're pinching themselves. It's almost like it gives them a feeling that they're there, they exist. So it's it's a very broad spectrum. So we never judge something just on a presenting image. We have to search beneath that to understand.
I tattoo everybody. Like, I definitely do first-timers, but I tattoo first-time boys also, you know? I tattoo 18-year-old boys, I tattoo 18-year-old girls, and they're both doing it for the same thing, because they're 18, you know?